All right, so I think most of you know me, but for those of you who do not know me, I'm Tamara. I was based here at the University of Alicante. I'm very much at the end of my PhD. I have actually finished the Marie Curie Fellowship, and I will be basically wrapping up my 3 years of research today here, and I will be talking to you about navigating privacy in healthcare tech for older adults, older adult care user side of the story. Right, so I come from the social science background, and I will try to make you look at the user side of these healthcare technologies. I'm one of the initial 15 early stage researchers based here at the University of Alicante, and the aim of my project was to analyze the acceptance of video-based active and assisted living technologies by their potential users, older adults and their caregivers, formal and informal. The objective that we had for this 3-year project was to have a map of benefits and barriers associated with the use of video monitoring technologies in older adult care context. And we set 3 research questions for my project. 1, what are the main benefits and barriers associated with the use of video monitoring technologies for older adults? 2, what are the main privacy concerns related to video-based AL technologies, and what role do they play in the acceptance of such systems? And 3, what are the user needs and experiences for and with video-based AL technologies? What are the different stakeholder perspectives on it? Right, so when we're talking about video-based monitoring system, I would like to have you to have in mind this system, which is a video-based monitoring system with privacy filters that our team here at the University of Alicante has been developing for quite some years now, and basically we joined at that point the 3 early stage researchers. So basically they have developed several filters from blurring to pixelating to avatar to complete elimination of the person from the image. On the right-hand side of the screen, you can see how one of the filters, avatar filter, might look in live. Yeah, so just keep this system in mind when I'm talking about the user perspectives. However, before we go to the prototype testing itself, I would like to take you through what have I been doing in all these 3 years of my research. So I started off by a scoping review about acceptance and privacy perceptions towards video-based AL technologies. I basically scoped 5 major databases, and from 1,800 studies around the topics of acceptance and privacy in video-based AL, we ended up with only 22 studies that were empirical and that were concerned with privacy and acceptance of such technologies. The main factors that are influencing the acceptance of video-based AL as came out in the literature were grouped in 3 main themes: privacy, necessity, and social environment and its influence. In privacy, the main topics that came out are informational privacy attitudes, intrusiveness, handling and access to the video material, type of obtained information, duration of use of those systems, location of the system, and user control over the system, which was a very important component. Then in necessity, the main thing that, of course, all of you are aware is the level of care dependency. And then social environment and its influence was quite important, specifically bystander influence, also negative effects on caregivers, and in contrast also possible positive effect on caregivers and family members. Both of these contrasting topics came out in the scoping review. By the scoping review, I tried to answer research question number 2 about privacy concerns and acceptance in video-based AAL. And also, the scoping review managed to give us some ideas about the benefits and barriers associated with the use of video-based technologies. Main benefits were security, safety, being independent, remaining at home, caregiving burden alleviation. And main barriers were privacy threats on dignity and confidentiality, feelings of surveillance, interference with the normal routines, cyber dependency, decreased human contact. And of course, the ones working in the area of video-based AL, you know that the main trade-off that literature is talking about and users are facing is the trade-off between privacy and safety. How much of my privacy am I willing to trade for the increased safety that these technologies can give me? So by that, hopefully I managed to answer the second research question on what are the main benefits and barriers with the use of such technologies. And the main take-home messages from this review that I would like to give you are the following. So privacy emerged as the main category with 7 subcategories. However, privacy attitudes are conditional and tradable, right? So it's not very much fear, these attitudes about privacy. Then we shall not undermine the influence of social environment on acceptance, with social dynamics impacting perceptions quite a lot. Then research in video-based AL technology acceptance, it's still in its early stage, and we observed quite some methodological weaknesses in the existing studies, and there is also a significant lack of user studies in the field. So basically, this study was published in Journal of Medical and Internet Research, and basically by this I already had in mind what's my next step. You know, where is the gap in the literature? What am I gonna do in these 3 years that are coming up? So the first thing that I did after that was to just go out there and talk with older adults to understand what does privacy mean for them. So basically my main question was to ask them, what is privacy for you? How would you define it? And what does it mean for you in everyday life? So I went to 12 older adults. So it was a very exploratory preliminary study. I just spoke with 12 older adults and asked them about the concept of privacy and in terms of video-based technologies, if they could imagine it. So the main results of this preliminary study are the following. The concept of privacy was not really easily understandable for older adults. They needed quite a lot of context to understand what privacy was I even talking about. Then nudity came up as a very significant aspect of privacy. However, there was a difference between care homes and private households when it came to nudity and privacy. And of course, we suspected that, and also some of the information that came out in the interviews was that in care homes, they already have less privacy, and privacy when it comes to nudity, actually. Then data security and trust came out as main concerns with AL technology, particularly in the video-based systems. By that, I tried to answer the second research question that is about main privacy concerns and the role that they have in the acceptance of video-based systems. This research was presented on ICT for Aging Well and ISG 2022 conferences. After that, I did a way more extensive, again, qualitative study with focus groups and interviews with a diversity of stakeholders. Specifically, so the number of users that participated in the study were 41. So this was quite an extensive, long qualitative user study with focus groups and interviews. And I basically did the study with quite a diversity of stakeholders, started from healthcare professionals to private carers, to older adults, to family caregivers, right? I can go into details of the demographics if need be, but of course we don't have that much time now, so I'm gonna take you to the main take-home messages from this study. So basically, this extensive qualitative study was about care management and experiences and the need for assistive technology in care provision, right? So by this, I just really wanted to understand how is care management process really happening. We're talking about southeast of Spain, and do they really need assistive technology, and what kind of technology do they need? What is really the emergencies that we're talking about? So the main points that came out from this study are the following. Care management challenges that are faced by southeast of Spain really emphasizes the gap between theoretical ideals and the real-world practices, particularly in the care homes. Emotional aspects of care and aging, including societal sensitivity and ageism, was a prominent issue. Stress, guilt, and the reluctance of older adults to communicate their needs was calling for a more proactive and inclusive caregiving approach, and also, of course, more user involvement in the studies. Various emergencies during care management were discussed. However, falls are being the major concern still. The study emphasized the urgency for technological evolution, the contrasting readiness among care providers, and the importance of ethical integration. So it really looks like older adults as well as caregivers are very much ready for technologies. Then, privacy concerns, the trade-off between privacy and safety, and the need for user-centered design principles were very much highlighted for successful technology adoption in caregiving. Hopefully, by this study, I managed to tackle parts of the research question 2 and 3, main privacy concerns and its role in the acceptance of video-based systems, and the user needs and experiences, especially from various stakeholder perspectives. Oh, yeah, this study was accepted to be published in Digital Health Journal by SAGE. It is accepted, and we're in the process of publishing right now. So after that, imagine I had already done 60 plus user studies, and I had so much information in my head about, I could hear the voices. I was joking a lot about it with my people I was writing papers with, the voices of people that I had interviewed about certain subjects. And this is exactly when I met one of the actually Good Brother co-section members, Anton, who's going to be here from tomorrow. And he really talked to me about this persona scenario approach, which was so interesting. And I decided exactly my data is very much suitable for the persona scenario use cases, and why don't I go ahead and work on it? So I decided to create personas for our system development. So for those of you who are not really so much familiar with this method, the idea of personas is to emphasize that the interaction is driven by the user's motivations and goals, and it basically serves as an empathy tool in the system development process, and under no circumstances personas should be substitute for direct involvement of the users, but it's really just an empathy tool in the process of system development. I use the blueprint persona framework to design my personas. You can check them out. It's a very interesting initiative. It's a European initiative on digital transformation. So basically, I had done formal interviews, focus groups, and also informal interviews with 62 potential users and other stakeholders, from direct care receivers or older adults, from care homes or private households, to direct caregivers, family and institutional, but also healthcare experts and other stakeholders, such as city hall representatives and technologists. And so all this data was, again, I'm going to jump the socio-demographic characteristics. I can always go back to it. But all this data was gathered in 8 different personas that I developed from different clusters, such as age, education, living situation, care dependency, experience in healthcare tech, and so on. I'm just going to give you an example of one of the personas. This is Sergio. Is an older adult from a rural area of Spain. He's been very active all his life. However, as he ages, he has been experiencing some memory problems, and he has had some issues and concerns about his safety physically, but also some possible break-ins in his neighborhood has alerted him. So he was considering having a video-based monitoring system in his place. However, there's a dilemma there, which is mostly about the data security and privacy. So basically, he's facing this dilemma between can I really adopt this video monitoring system? How about my privacy and data leakage issues? So basically with this dilemma at hand, Sergio is trying to navigate his options. And at the same time, I developed empathy map for each of the 8 personas, which is mostly about the pain points of each of the users. So I don't have enough time to show you all the 8 personas, but you can go on Blueprint website. So one of the 8 personas are direct care receivers, so older adults, caregivers, healthcare experts, but also healthcare professionals. So if you'd like to check them out, you can go to the Blueprint Persona spin-off website and look at them. You might find yourself in one of them. So each of these personas are trying to face a dilemma that they have when they're speaking about video-based technologies. By this, I try to answer research question number 3 about user needs and experiences and different stakeholder perspectives. And this work was presented at AAAT Conference 2023. Apart from that, basically the last stage in my PhD research was the prototype testing. So by this time, our prototype of the video monitoring system had already been matured enough that we could do the testing. And I am going to be presenting this talk on Thursday afternoon. So if you'd like to hear more about it, you have a chance on Thursday. Just to give you a sneak peek, this talk was accepted for CHI 2024. So you might expect, you might want to listen to it. And was already presented actually. So apart from this, in this last 3 to 4 minutes that I have, I would like to tell you a bit about what else was I doing during these 3 years. Firstly and importantly, I taught 4 different modules on research methodology at the University of Alicante to bachelor and master level students, which was a very interesting experience and very fulfilling. And I would like to do that in the future as well. Apart from that, I had several collaborations with other early-stage researchers. This was with Max and Alex. Max will be here hopefully tomorrow. This was during my stay in Germany at the University of Aachen. Then we also had a socio-technological collaboration with Irene. And apart from this, we are working on the development of active and assistive literacy scale. This is a work in progress. In another work in progress that I have is participating in the writing of a chapter in a book on societal and well, actually the book is way more broad, but my chapter is about social and societal issues in AEL. This is actually an outcome of the co-section Good Brother, so a lot of you might be familiar with it. So basically, this is what I have done in all these 3 years. And I hope I have reached the project aim, objective, and I have answered the research questions about main benefits and barriers, privacy concerns, and the acceptance, and the user needs and experiences about this video monitoring system. A bit about the dissemination. I have 2 Q1 journal publications as a first author, another joint work on a research repository, and a multitude of conferences, out of which, of course, CHI 2024 stands out the most. Yeah, and just to wrap really everything up, those are my 3 research questions, just to remind you again. Main benefits and barriers, main privacy concerns, and the acceptance of video-based systems and the user needs and experiences about those systems. So basically this is to give an idea how everything comes together if I can, and what I have done in these 3 years. So I started off with a literature review about acceptance and privacy perceptions towards video-based AEL technologies, which led me to a very preliminary exploratory interview sessions with older adults to understand what is privacy for them. This led me to more extensive qualitative study with focus groups and in-depth interviews to understand the care management and experiences and potential needs in assistive technologies, which led me to the development of user personas And after that, our prototype was ready for testing, so I tested this prototype in Italy, in Bologna, the talk that I will give on Thursday. And by that, basically, I concluded my 3 years of work here. And I am happy to say that I have completed my thesis. It's in the process of administrative hell, and hopefully I will get there. And one other thing, I really wanted to do a quantitative study as well, because as you can see, most of my work is qualitative or mixed methods here and there, but mostly really qualitative. However, sadly, I didn't have enough time in these 3 years to do the quant, but yeah, maybe I'll get to do that in my next step. Thank you very much.
Okay, David, straight in there.
Thank you for that. I think that's a really important study you've done there. So I really appreciate hearing all about it. Unfortunately, I'm not here on Thursday, so it's a flying visit. But so I'd love to, just to give you the opportunity, just at a very high level, to tell us a little bit about what you found in the prototype testing. You've taken it all the way through, so I'd love to know more about that. And you left us with that little note about an ambient intelligence literacy scale, which I can't go away without knowing what that is.
Okay, sure.
Okay?
Sure.
Thank you.
Let's start with the Kai paper. So basically, our prototype has 5 different filters, from blurring, pixelating, avatar, elimination, and the 5th one is actually not a filter, it's an application of a filter. When a person falls, the filter is removed in an emergency state to see what's really happening, right? So we have these 5 visualization modes, and I took this prototype of ours and I went to Italy in IAS Bologna. We have Massimiliano here from IAS Bologna. Actually, I spent there 2 months and I did user studies with 29 participants, which was very, very interesting experience. So basically, we presented our prototype there, and we did think out loud, and a bit of mostly very, very classic user testing with whatever features the prototype already has. And the main ideas that we got, maybe I will read a bit of the quotes from there. This could give you a better idea. So, for example, Antonella, 69-year-old, said, well, feeling more connected. For instance, if the system is monitored and checked, yes, I feel more connected. Someone is watching over me. So when we actually expect them to have these negative feelings of surveillance, a lot of older adults had positive feelings of being watched, which was quite a discovery. And actually, technologists and also healthcare professionals had more negative attitudes towards our system than older adults themselves, and this was very, very clear and prominent thing that came out. Yes, I think I didn't include more slides from here, but the most preferred visualization mode was Avatar. However, interestingly enough, they also wanted elimination quite a lot. So complete elimination of a person from the image, which of course talks about the privacy threats very much. If there's anything more specific you'd like to know, this is more or less the idea of what I have done in Italy. So now about the literacy scale a bit. Yes. So the idea of this literacy scale actually came from Paco. We were in Napoli last year, already more than last year. Yes. And one of the Good Brother members presented a literacy scale that they made on digital literacy in general, online digital literacy. And then Paco said, why don't we actually do a digital literacy scale on AAL? And we started piloting the questions in the UK, mostly in the UK so far. However, in parallel, we would like to do this in Spain as well. So we already did pilot study, and we did also analysis of the questions, the weighting of the questions for the scale. And right now we are left with the 20 questions, final 20 questions, and we are in the very final process of validation of this literacy scale. So it will be AEL literacy scale validated in the UK and hopefully on the next stage in Spain as well. Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Farhana from Bangladesh. Actually, I'm working with the work group 3 technically. But my question is, like, you did the questionnaire to you and Paco both. You did the questionnaire based on southeastern Spain, right? From what I understood. And the testing was basically in Bologna, Italy. Did you find any problems or any differences? Because my understanding is, personally, not really, don't have any experience, just from social understanding, that there must be a very different aspect of how elderly people treat privacy in Northern Europe, say Scandinavian countries, compared to Southern Europe, right?
Sure.
Or Eastern Europe. And how you're going to test that literacy scale in UK, and I think the perspective there would be very, very different. Are you facing any problems, or are there any similarities, or how is this taken care of?
Sure. So far I actually have done user studies in UK, Spain and Italy. And of course there are very, very big differences. Also, when we talk about Italy, the Italians in the room would agree North and South differs quite a lot. And I did my study in Bologna, which would belong a bit more to the north. However, they are also very center as well in a way, and their political attitudes is quite special, so quite special area of Italy. Also, what was the biggest difference between Spain and Italy, let's start there, was that older adults in Bologna specifically, I cannot generalize it, were quite tech savvy and quite open and willing to talk and engage and do everything and try everything. In Spain, this was not the case. In Spain, they were not as tech savvy as in Bologna. We're talking about Alicante and the surrounding. Other differences was, we actually were talking before, and I have to mention this, is that in the UK, we're talking about Reading and the surrounding of Reading. Older adults could not wait to leave the room and go back to what they were doing, and could not wait to just, the thing to be finished and go back to playing bingo or whatever they were playing. However, in Italy and Spain, they wanted to stay with us and talk and ask us about personal life or other things, and when do we come back and all this. So if we're talking about challenges, the main challenge in the UK would be to really maybe find them and talk to them again, or even complete even the whole focus group. A lot of focus groups were actually stopped in the middle because they simply didn't want to continue talking about it. So I would say that, yes, in the UK problem was mostly engagement. In Spain and Italy, problem has never been engagement, but the attitudes are clearly very different.
Yeah, but do you think that idea about privacy among the elderly are similar? Maybe Spain and Italy they may have, but in the UK, will testing this be easier with this? Because if the idea of privacy among the elders are very different in the two places, will this work properly?
If the literacy scale we're talking specifically about literacy scale, or
yes, about the literacy scale. Yes.
Yeah, of course, the literacy scale certainly has to be adjusted to each cultural context. Also, because in the literacy scale we have questions about institutional practices, which are very different in each country. So literacy scale is not transferable across countries unless it is validated in the culture. However, the attitudes of privacy can be tested in any of the countries, of course. There was one other thing I wanted to say. Okay, it's gone, but if it comes back about the differences, I will say.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Okay.
No? Okay, we'll move on to that. Thanks, Tamara.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.